Two women stabbed in separate attacks over the weekend. Police investigate the murder of a Brazilian minor in the Rupununi. In the region, Ecuadoran woman learns her sister is alive after the hospital cremated the wrong body. And internationally, China's unity song backfires as propaganda on the South China Sea. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. I am George Gonzalez. Thank you for joining us. Today, the Guyana Elections Commission announced that the CARICOM Secretary General has written Guyana's COVID-19 task force ahead of the team's arrival to observe the national recount of votes in last month's elections. CARICOM said arrangements would be made for the members of the team to be tested for COVID-19 in their respective countries prior to their arrival in Guyana and before departing Guyana. The delegation also requested approval from Guyana for a chartered flight to collect the team members and return that day, with a similar arrangement for their return upon completion of the exercise. The delegation is also expected to prepare a report on the recount process. GCOM is then expected to consider CARICOM's report as well as the one drafted by the Chief Elections Officer of GCOM. However, CARICOM will not be the only observer group present. Local observer groups such as the Private Sector Commission and the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry, as well as others, are expected to be in attendance. The Carter Center and the Organization of American States Observer Missions have said that they too are committed to observing the remainder of the electoral process, but neither has publicly stated their intent to be physically in Guyana. While preparations for the recount continues, GCOM will not announce a start date for the recount until it has received a confirmed arrival date from the CARICOM delegation. Two women were brutally assaulted in two separate knife attacks over the weekend. Esther Sobers has more in this report.
On Saturday afternoon, a Northeast La Penitence woman was left hospitalized after being attacked by her common-law husband. According to reports, 30-year-old Colleen Daly was stabbed multiple times by Glenn Ford, also known as Black Boy. The attack occurred at the couple's home. After assaulting Daly, Ford fatally stabbed himself. Daly is currently a patient at the Georgetown Public Hospital and is listed in a critical condition, whilst Ford was pronounced dead at the scene. And on Sunday night, 62-year-old Tameshwari Sonilal was stabbed to death at her home in Canal No. 1 Polder, West Bank, Danarara. According to police, the stabbing occurred between 1900 hours and 2030 hours, allegedly by a known male who goes by the area's Geeper. Sonilal's body is currently at the Ezekiel Funeral Home awaiting an autopsy. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. The Guyana police force is continuing its investigation into the murder of a Brazilian minor in the Rupununi over the weekend. Bibi Bacchus has more in this report.
Police are currently investigating the circumstances surrounding the murder of a 58-year-old Brazilian minor. Fredson de Conseco, a naturalized Guyanese citizen, was shot to death Friday evening when four armed men invaded his mining camp in Region 9, Upper Takatu, Upper Essequibo. Police believe the motive was a robbery. According to reports, at around 17 hours, the minor was sitting at the door of a building containing a safe when the suspect approached and began to shoot indiscriminately at him. Fredson, a legal firearm holder, drew his pistol and returned fire. He and one of the suspects were fatally shot during the crossfire. Police recovered from the suspect his weapon, a black face mask, and a GPS device. Police followed traces of blood which led to an old pit that contained a 12-gauge shotgun loaded with 5 cartridges and a plastic bag containing 12 live cartridges. The remaining gunmen escaped and the contents of the safe were removed. Nevertheless, an investigation is ongoing. For Headline News Update, Bibi Bacchus.
Thanks, Bibi. Don't go away. Coming up after the break, Ecuadoran woman learns her sister is alive after the hospital cremated the wrong body. And China's unity song backfires as propaganda on the South China Sea.
Hurry down to Zasco on 15 North Road between Camp and Wellington Streets. Quality products at low cost for every room in your home. 65 and 55 inches high-stand 4K smart TVs. Samsung French door fridges. Black & Decker appliances, queen and king size Canadian-made mattresses. German-made pressure pots in 5 to 9 liters. 12-piece pot sets, knife sets, cutlery sets and pans, commercial fans. Samsung smart stoves. Canadian-made 3-piece recliner sofa sets. Air fryers and Hamilton Beach hot and cold water dispenser.
For that reliable, prudent, and courteous traveling experience, your choice is G3 Cabs, located at 228-229 Aubrey Barker Road and Beverly Close, South Renville Gardens. Travel in comfort and safety with our deluxe fleet of new vehicles and neatly trimmed drivers serving our customers around Georgetown. We deliver cooking gas, small packages, run errands, and provide minor vehicular roadside assistance such as jump starts of vehicles, flat tires, spare wheel assistance, and more. Contact us on 218-4982 or 218-4500. G3 Cabs. You can count on us.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
Oh gosh, what's this? Me son can't read or spell. Stop! 0 out of 20. Is what I could do here.
Hi guys, my name is Ms. Kojusek and I'm the senior teacher at the Electoral after school program. Due to the spread of the coronavirus and the need for social distancing, we have moved our in-class learning activities to online via Skype. On the online side, we will be focusing on spelling, phonics, reading, and the National Grade 6 assessments. For more information, you can inbox us or call us.
Contact us on 675-4379. I can call them now. Hidden Treasures, discovering gems in young minds.
Anyone who believes he or she was exposed to coronavirus COVID-19 must stay at home and not mix with other family members. This quarantine is to help stop the spread of the virus at home and in our communities. While at home for 14 days or 2 weeks, here are some valuable tips you must follow. First, get a separate room which family members will not be allowed to enter during those 14 days of quarantine. Ensure this room allows you to get lots of fresh air. Second, if you must meet family members, stay at least 1 meter or 3 feet away from them. Third, when it comes to personal hygiene, other members of the household should use a separate bathroom. If you must share a bathroom, ensure you always clean the taps, doorknobs, and all utensils with soap and running water. Fourth, limit the number of visitors to your home. Anyone in quarantine must not meet and greet any visitor. Fifth, practice frequent hand washing with soap and running water. Wash your hands for at least 20 seconds every time. If there are no soap and running water, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 75% alcohol. Sixth, always avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. Seventh, after using face masks or gloves, always throw them away. Put them in bins with covers. Remember also to always use separate plates, drinking glasses, cups, and other eating utensils, towels, bedding, and other items for the family member who is in quarantine. And don't forget to use detergents every time to wash all utensils, bed linen, and clothes used by the person in quarantine. Please remember to use the thermometer, not the back of your hands, to monitor the body temperature of the quarantined family member. Monitor them 2 times every day. Be sure to write down the temperature. If he or she develops a fever or temperature above 37.5 degrees Celsius or 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit, cough or has difficulty breathing, sore throat, body aches and pain, immediately call the COVID-19 hotline by dialing 180 or 181. Protect yourself and others. Play your part in helping to reduce the risk of contracting or spreading COVID-19. This is a message from the Ministry of Public Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO. For more information, kindly visit the Ministry's website www.health.gov.gy or its Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter pages.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. The Trinidad and Tobago government maintains that its relationship with Barbados is, quote, as good as it ever has been, as it currently downplayed a potential rift between the two CARICOM neighbors. Bridgetown on Friday issued a statement in which it said that it was, quote, deeply disturbed by a jab made by Trinidad's National Security Minister, Stuart Young. Young suggested that the Mia Mottley administration failed to respect the Twin Island Republic's border policies in its handling of the 33 Trinidadians who were stranded in Barbados for a month. Last week, Young told a virtual media briefing that citizens overseas and other non-nationals were using a particular CARICOM nation as a jumping point to get into the country, which had closed its borders as one of its measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19. He did not name the country, but said that Rowley had instructed Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Dennis Moses to write to that country's government. However, Barbados's Foreign Affairs Minister Dr. Jerome Walcott described Young's comments as regrettable, as he stressed that Barbados had gone through all the appropriate channels to get the group home. Speaking at a press conference on Saturday, Trinidad's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley explained to reporters he knew nothing of a rift involving Barbados and his National Security Minister, and relations are still cordial between the two nations. Healthcare workers in Ecuador have apologized for telling a woman her sister had died of the coronavirus, only to find out that she was alive and recovering in the hospital. Al Jazeera's Lucia Newman reports.
This is 74-year-old Albita Maruri. 3 weeks ago, she was supposedly cremated after reportedly dying in hospital from coronavirus. But now, her family's been informed she's still very much alive and that they have the wrong ashes. This isn't the first case of mistaken identity in Ecuador's chaotic COVID-19 epicenter of Guayaquil. Nationwide, the number of confirmed cases has doubled.
This is not because the cases appeared overnight, but because all the backlog tests were processed and reported yesterday.
In Ecuador, no one can really say how many people have died from COVID-19. Only that people are dying faster than they can be properly tested and identified. A nurse who doesn't want to be named says that in his hospital in Guayaquil, he's had to pile up bodies in the bathrooms because there's no more room elsewhere.
That's very traumatic for us. Imagine, I have nightmares. I'm not very well psychologically. We can't do more for a critical patient than give them a saline solution when what they need is a ventilator.
In Brazil, it's a similar case. This is the Nossa Senhora Aparecida Cemetery in Manaus, the gateway to the Brazilian Amazon. Even some of the gravediggers have died after contracting the virus in the desperate race to bury victims. Luigi Paolo just lost his mother-in-law, whom he says could not access emergency care.
A person who needed to be in an intensive care unit was in a basic hospital bed where they didn't even have x-rays. It's a horrible film. I never expected to see this in my life.
Hospitals are reaching their capacity even before the expected peak of the pandemic. Malaria and yellow fever are already widespread in this region, where communities along the Amazon River are days away from the nearest hospital. Now, Manaus has the highest mortality rate from COVID-19 in all of Brazil, a sanitary emergency that's become a calamity. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera.
A song released by China to highlight its partnership with the Philippines against the COVID-19 outbreak is being criticized as propaganda. It has been disliked more than 150,000 times on YouTube thus far. Al Jazeera's Jamila Alindogan reports.
The video is on YouTube and the song is called Iisang Dagat, which in the Filipino language means one sea. The song was written by China's ambassador in Manila. The video is supposedly dedicated to those who contributed to the COVID-19 fight in the Philippines and China, but it's causing outrage here, mostly from Filipinos who say the message is subliminal and insulting. Calling this one sea, they say, is disgraceful because China continues to encroach Philippine territory in the South China Sea.
But the Chinese are saying, isang dagat pero amin yan, because we own almost more than 85% of the South China Sea. So what is unsaid there is we own it. Because if you have to connect that with their official position that they own the South China Sea.
It was released just a day before the Philippine government lodged 2 diplomatic complaints against China. Chinese Navy mounted a radar gun at the Philippines' biggest naval warship in the Spratleys. China also declared some of the Philippine territory there as belonging to Hainan province on the Chinese mainland. The Philippine government says international law and its sovereignty are being violated.
China's leaders are facing widespread criticism for its cover-up of the coronavirus crisis. It also denies supplying defective virus test kits, and so it is building up its response, even going as far as highlighting what it calls as failures of other governments to respond to the virus emergency.
Some Chinese diplomats tweeted accusations that the U.S. is responsible for the pandemic. In the Philippines, anger against China has been growing for years. Chinese who operate illegal online gambling activities have been implicated in murder and human trafficking in the Philippines. And the ramming of a Philippine fishing boat by a Chinese ship and then abandoning 22 Filipino fishermen infuriated many others a few months ago, contributing to low approval rating of China here. Critics say that it will take more than just what they call a propaganda video to improve China's image, both here and abroad. Jamila Alindogan, Al Jazeera, Manila.
That's all for today's regional and international news. Here is your 3-day weather forecast. That's all for this edition of Headline News Update. Tune in Tuesday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Also, visit our website at headlinenewsghana.com for all the news we couldn't fit in this newscast. Until then, take care.